let's talk about Rick Rubin again. So he had an interview with Anderson Cooper. He's a Def Jam co-founder.
He's been going on a little publicity run.
Tour, a little press run.
I think I may have heard that he's like coming out with a book or something.
I'd actually like to read a book from him. I actually would.
I would like it's a rollout.
Yeah. But here's a quote. I want to read this quote and see what you guys think. And this was in relation to what his actual skill is as a producer. He said, "No, I have no technical ability. I know nothing about music." And he said, "Well, I know what I like and what I don't like. And I'm decisive about what I like and what I don't like." And then he was asked, what is he being paid for? He said, "The confidence I have in my taste and my ability to express what I feel has proven helpful for artists." Now, this is one of the pioneers in hip hop production label. What's the look? I'm coming to you first on this one, Long. I got to come to you first.
Yeah, I knew you would.
You knew I would. How does that make you feel, man, as to hear a legend say, "I really don't know anything about music. Technically, not about that. It's just about me and my feel and my vibe. And I know what I like. I know what I don't like. And it works."
I feel it's very on brand for Rick Rubin.
Okay.
Very on brand for him to almost give away the stuff that he's accomplished and kind of attack it in kind of a humble manner. Like, I'm just a servant of whatever the being that I'm in right now. Now, is he actually being truthful? No,
that's the question.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know anything about music. I don't know, but he I think, I guess I just don't know enough about Rick Rubin to know what he really knows. I will say that a lot of the beats and stuff that he's made
that you know of,
I wasn't personally a fan of, but I feel like it was a major sound for the time. And so, when you talk about the acts, it was what, LL and the Beastie Boys and 99 Problems and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, you can't really deny that. I mean, unless he had somebody else making all the music for him, obviously somebody liked it, if he's making it.
He definitely had a style.
Yeah, he definitely had a style. And so, but I feel like the allure to Rick Rubin, why people like navigate or like gravitate towards him, is just because he's very much, he's like this Zen character in hip hop, and he tries to.
He's a co-founder of Def Jam.
Well, that too. But I don't know. I don't really have an issue with him saying this. I don't know.
The Zen part kind of reminds me of.
I'm trying to be not like negative, as we're talking about Rick Rubin, who's never negative. So
right, like it reminds me. He kind of reminds me of Phil Jackson. Like, Phil Jackson is kind of had that vibe as a coach for the Bulls. They called him the Zen master.
Well, he knows about basketball. Definitely, he created a whole offense.
Yep. You know that, and he actually played basketball.
Yeah,
professional as well. Yeah, it kind of give me that vibe, but I'm not mad at that, Long.
I don't even know what I said. I honestly, I don't even know what I said. Like, I think he's just like trying to say that like those things probably matter in his space. Maybe he wasn't the most classically trained musician in that aspect, but he knew that this sounded good, and he knew that this sounded good, so he rolled with it, and it just so happened that a lot of other people did too.
I think some of this is cap, and the reason I think it's cap is because when he says, "No, I have no technical ability," and he also says, "I know nothing about music." The "I know nothing about music" part is cap to me because of how successful Def Jam became. Now, you knew something when you got with Russell and they started putting out records and LL was 16 and all that. Come on, man. You knew something about music.
He said he doesn't know about the technicalities.
You might have had a feeling you don't know how to work an MPC or exactly.
But he said, "I have no technical ability."
A major and a minor, scale. Like, that's that's what I took from it. But when everybody's like, "Oh, that's so awesome,"
but those are two separate comments, though. I have no technical ability. That speaks to the MPC, keys, chords. What Jay Moore is talking about. I know nothing about.
To use something in order to create those.
But what I'm saying is, I know nothing about music. I don't know about that.
Okay, I think that's what I'm saying. I know nothing about music. That's what I think he's talking about. Okay. Like if you sat him in front of a piano or gave him a guitar, he wouldn't know what to do with it.
Maybe if he said the music industry,
if you put sheet music in front of him, he couldn't read it.
Right.
That's what I take from it. But like, I there's a certain level of hand wringing and just like, oh, that's Rick Rubin, because he is that Zen character.
Right.
But if Puff Daddy had said the exact same thing, they'd be like, we knew he was a hack.
True. Khaled, I'd be like, yep.
There's a lot of people in the industry that don't know
even if Dr.
anything
Dre,
about
who
music.
we know can actually play a little bit and understands
Oh, he definitely has
theory,
a stand.
and, you know,
and all that.
and from him, and also him being a DJ. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're willing to give Rick Rubin so much more grace and think, oh, wow, this is so incredible, but he doesn't know how to play any instruments and he produced these records and that's incredible. But like, if Puff Daddy said the same thing, you know, we'd be on his ass.
But I think there's a reason for that. And I think the reason for that is because this is who Rick Rubin has always been. And Puff Daddy and Khaled are always super boisterous, you know, they bolster, you know, they're always just like, yeah, this is me, I'm the best, I'm this. And Rick Rubin's like, all right, cool. You know, he plays the back, he does the thing that he does, and he always been this person. So I feel like that grace is merited in this case because this is literally who Rick Rubin is.
If you watch the recording session on Fade to Black,
Barefoot.
yeah, like when he's just walking around the crib and I didn't see him once say, I'm the GOAT, y'all. I'm telling you, Jay, man, it's on, it's popping. I'm here. You here, baby. We about to do it. But it was none of that. Everything was just to Lone's point. It was like, hey, we chilling, man.
What's crazy is they recorded more than just 99 Problems.
Yeah.
Like there's a song that they're playing in, you know, kind of the behind the scenes. I was like, well, where is that record?
Yeah. So to Lone's point about being on brand, I could see that. It's just, it's one of those things where
I got the same feeling though when I heard that. I was just kind of like, you don't know nothing about music. I was like, I feel like you're reaching a little bit.
I'm like,
I'm trying to be charitable. To Jay's point, I am trying to be charitable to that, but I got the same feeling when I heard that, which is probably why I struggled with like trying to.
You can't produce Tila Rock, the Beastie Boys, LL Cool J, later on Slayer, and all the stuff that he did with like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like you can't do that if you don't know anything about music. All right. And sometimes
maybe he just wasn't being technical.
Maybe, and sometimes it really is like you have to have
Terry.
that person who says, okay, just let's turn the drums down.
Like for example,
let's do this. Like, because that's really a producer's job is, you know, a lot of times to take, okay, these vocals, this beat, and mold it into something marketable. And that's what Rick Rubin was able to do several times.
Don't lose your train of thought.
No, I was just gonna bring up. For example, I was in band, was first chair trombone player, and I didn't know how to read music. I would have somebody else write the notes on the page for me. I could play them, you know what I'm saying, but I couldn't read it essentially. So if that came up, like somebody asked me, I don't know anything about music as far as reading it, but I can play it, and I know what sounds good. I know what sounds bad. I know it from that angle. But I don't know the technicalities of reading it, and
just like people
that's
can play from ear,
bass note, or you know what I'm saying,
for sure.
The different chords, all that stuff.
I would be just like categorized as both because I learned how to read music, but also my ear is my biggest attribute because that's where it's at. To your point, so there are I know people right now that are musicians that will smoke anybody that play by ear. Like they can't sit down and technically look at it, but if they get a chance to hear the key and the vibe, it's a wrap. Exactly. They'll take it from there. You know what I mean? Like
Stevie Wonder, for example.
There we go.
What has he read? I mean, he sat down and I'm not even being funny.
Yeah, I got Braille.
I'm not even being funny, but
that's
I mean,
true though.
He was writing music.
Yes, he was.
Blind, writing music, playing all these different instruments. I mean,
it's so. I mean, I teach this stuff. So what I would say is that one thing that I always tell my students when we have our two basic like westernized music theory lessons is one, understanding the technicality of it, of being able to understand it to the fullest extent isn't always necessary, but it helps. Mm-hmm. And so as a music producer, as a beat maker, as you're starting out, it's important to kind of understand how to get around notes and majors and minors and stuff like that. But if you can't recite it off top, that's okay. It doesn't really matter because all you have to be able to know is how to work around in the way that
and
you're
how
working.
It feels.
Yeah.
Like you can't sit there and tell me that all of these bands that were out in the 70s and 80s were sitting there writing all this music down. They was getting together, jamming, have a feel. Somebody might play a little bit of something, somebody else add to it, but they weren't writing that music essentially. It was all a feel.
There's artists that are, to your point, I saw a documentary on B.B. King. And, they had a song. He had a song with U2. It's called Love.
Love Comes Around.
Right. So thank you. So they were in rehearsal, and the guys are like, "Yo, so here's the chords, man. This is how it goes, and we're gonna perform." BB King was like, I don't do chords. The guys from U2 were like, huh? He's like, nah, I don't do chords. I do this. And he just starts jamming.
Right.
And then the guys from U2 were like, that's why he's so cold and that's why he's a legend. He's a specialist. Now BB was in the same breath, he was talking and speaking about key changes. He knew the key. He could name them, knew the key changes and all that. But as it relates to playing chords and understanding it, he's like, no, I don't do that.
It's yeah. I mean, when you break it down, when you make music, most people, unless you are a classical composer, when you're making music, you're not thinking at it. You're not coming at it from an angle of like, all right, this note's on the staff here, and then I'm going to have a half note. And then, no, you're sitting down and you're like playing something. You're feeling what you're playing, and then you record it, and then you add more stuff to it. It's like it is very much feel like. So to kind of bring it all the way back around, maybe that is kind of what Rick Rubin kind of going for. He's just kind of like, no, I don't know how to do this stuff per se, but I know what sounds good.
I will say this. Rick Rubin, to me, would be a person that I would have or lean towards giving more credibility from an overall music and production standpoint versus somebody like who were we talking about earlier? Somebody like that. I would much rather, I would lean towards him just from an overall perspective of music 100 times out of 100.
Because music is about feel.
Exactly.
And that's the one thing that if you're going to, his entire career has been about that.
Yeah.
And an embodiment of who he is. Every interview you see him, he's like he got Andre 3000 to do like a super long interview.
How much credibility
and they talked
do you
about
have to
feelings and you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, he was like, how do you feel? Why don't you want to make this? Why don't
to pull Andre 3000 out of his world to come in and sit down for an interview? You doing something right. Because how often do that happen?
They're kind of alike.
They are.
In a sense.
Yeah.
So,
that and it's also they've made enough money to where they don't have to step out when they don't want to.
True.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to care too much. I'm learning about caring too much, Lone.
Yeah.
I'm not going to care too much and ask the question, how is this going to impact the people that are watching and all the people? It ain't that serious.
Yeah.